Welcome to our today's webinar, How to Use Machine Learning to Optimize Your Invoice Approval Process. My name is Joachim Sam Haas, and I will take care about Zoom and the meeting organization. In case you have any question, please use the question and answer area in the bottom area, and we will answer your question either at the end of the webinar or we will contact you with a detailed answer afterwards. Let me now hand over to Karl Freiheit. Karl, please take over.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, my name is Karl Freiheit, and here my job is a little bit to guide you through our customer webinar, where we want to show you how we can use machine learning in order to optimize the invoice approval process. Okay, and having said that, you know you're a customer, and you know that we have this Ultimus DPS suite, we have CPS. And in this CPS, we have a lot of different assets we can reuse. And this incoming invoice approval process is one of our most popular one, which is used by our customers at the moment. So, and the purpose of today is just how you can use or leverage this capabilities coming from machine learning or artificial intelligence, and also to leverage it with our process and CPS capability, and to bring you with your invoice processing to the next level. And what we have seen, when people are using our platform together with artificial intelligence in order to automate or optimize incoming invoice processing, we can see that you are able to reduce costs, or our customers are able to reduce costs up to 80 to 90%. And if you also calculate it maybe in return of investment, you can have a return on investment close within about 6 months, or at least below 1 year. And even if you're an Ultimus customer, because you already have Ultimus license, I think this can be even much faster. And you also have in mind, that whatever we show you later, have in mind this is CPS. And CPS is a technology where you can see you can use right away, or you can just take parts of it and reuse it in your solution. So it does not mean that you have to take everything or nothing. It's much more flexible and much more agile. You take the things what you need and maybe build the things around what you need, which is important for you, and when you have your tailored solution. Before to do that, and also maybe going through, understand a little bit the context of the different things I'm showing you today, allow me to a little bit to just quickly go through the incoming invoice process, the way we have implemented in the demo for today. Okay, and let's see. So this is the process, we did, which is this is Ultimus process, which has performing this job, and this has different steps. One thing what we are doing here is we have an automatic email launch. This means the process here is launched by an email. And the use case we have had here with the customer was quite simple, that invoices coming to maybe different people of the company, and they just forward this email to a specific email address, and Ultimus will pick it up from there. So that's quite simple. We have other options. You can also launch the process automatically. You can have a vendor portal. You can have other APIs. But in this case, we want to show you using automatic email launch. And one thing what happens, what the process do is right away, again, using our Flobot capabilities, and immediately send you an automated email confirmation that this invoice has arrived at your site. The next thing, which is coming to artificial intelligence, we have a service in artificial intelligence where we recognize the invoice, convert more or less from unstructured data to structured data. And with the data we have, we also go maybe to existing databases, ERP system, try to do some matching, and maybe see if things already have been paid or arrived. And this allows us to decide if we need to go maybe a manual way or an automatic way. So this is more or less the next thing. If you maybe have a good recognition and you find maybe the order ID, the amount is correct, and also maybe somebody already has confirmed in the system that the goods have been arrived, you just can do straight through processing, and even you don't need manual involvement. If you need manual involvement, then it's maybe the second step, where you have to decide about maybe if the data you have is correct, you want to maybe assign it to cost centers and want to have manual approval about the things what happens. So here it's something like the process we show you combines pure automation, straight through processing, as well as having human involved handling maybe exceptions, all that stuff. Again, in the human side, first thing what you see in the process is you have a human verification of the extracted data, because as I said before, this is a tool which does it automatically without training with this data. It's, by the way, it's quite good, but on the other hand, maybe you want to verify if the data are correct. Next thing, you want to maybe assign maybe the cost center or the general ledger accounts to this invoice so the booking can happen accordingly. Depending what you have selected, which cost center, it will go to the cost center and have it reviewed if maybe really if the goods have really arrived in a good shape, and somebody has also to approve the payment. In this case, it's not only for maybe one cost center, you can send it to several cost centers to approving this one invoice. Last not least, you have also built in the capability. If sometimes maybe the amount is too high, or if there are special conditions, you can manage, but this also involves some kind of management approval. So you can build in rules when this occurs, that things automatically goes to the management. And last not least, we would put it into the ERP system and book it, or which we don't do here in this demo. Here it's just a manual step. In real life, we would have an ERP API that the data just goes to the ERP system. And last not least, we also do the following. We archive all the documents we have here in a document management system, archiving system, all the things which are necessary to do there. Let me go. So this is a little bit the different components which you have, we would like to show you in order to make this invoice AP processing for today. Let me go to the customer portal we have. So, and I have here more or less two portals open. One I will use for always as a reference for the process, and another one maybe to make the real demo. So the process, when you open, you have a portal. And I think this is also something, allow me to a little bit to recap what this portal does for you, because there's a lot of really nice and good things built in that. First, you see in the portal, you have the area of request. These are things you can launch by yourself. You have the right to launch. You can see you can launch about 40 different processes. And maybe also you realize that we also are able now to have a tree structure. So that's the things you can launch. You also can organize in a tree structure, maybe in industries, customer lifecycle, but it's your decision how you want to structure it. The next thing is your task, where you see which tasks are assigned to you. In this case, you see that I have 4 things in my inbox. I can have things queued, things can be assigned to me, and also have completed tasks. Another very powerful thing, which is part of this cockpit, is we can also add this applications, as we call it, and we can bring all supporting applications, what you need in order to run or to perform your work for this incoming invoice in this cockpit. And here we have a dashboard. In Adapter, we can maybe show you the cost of what it costs to make all this, calling these external services. We can have an overview of due dates, reports about the invoices, manage approval structure, and all other stuff. And also, if you can see, we just can collapse. Here you have maybe Ultimus administration, you open it, you get all the flexibility of what you want to do here and what is needed in order to perform the work. And all of it, what you see here is role-based. So it's not like that everybody sees the same. It's more or less the way everybody has roles and it's part of a group. And you can manage very easily who sees what and maybe adjust and give them the rights to do what he needs to do. Also, another thing part of the portal is when you go through the portal is you can have all the different things you can see. You can assign tasks to others. You can more or less send it to a queue. All things you can see about the status of different reports. And also you have something like new things we added, which is some kind of notification. So notification is something which means you can see I have actually Navid in the back. I asked him to send a notification. So in this notification, you can send to any user, any group, or even you can see we can send notifications to processes. This means, for example, if something urgent happens with one invoice, we can have an API or another service which we just send to this incoming invoice number 17, an urgent message. So only the people who are working on this invoice, incoming invoice process will see that notification and you can inform them accordingly. This again, as you see, this tight integration between the different things you need in order to perform your work, task, as well as application, makes it really easy for you to maximize your productivity and make your good job. And what we have also realized in our life, when you have, It's not about, in our case, we show you only incoming invoice, but we have customers who have maybe 100 different processes. And if you have 100 different processes, it's more than important that you can organize them in a good way, and you can have also tools you need to manage it, and which maybe you don't see here, but which is also just behind that portal. If you have thousands or 100,000 of incidents, it's also a very fast and powerful and convenient way to manage all your incidents. It's not just a web interface, it's really a complete and performant portal, making the productivity of what you have to do very quickly. First thing, when you remember, coming back to the process, I told you in our case that we will launch processes with an email launch. And this email launch is a tool we also have here, which is coming with CPS, which actually, by the way, it's a CPS application, which shows you a little bit which type of inboxes which we are checking, in which processes we want to starting. In this case, in our example, we have the incoming invoice SW04. Let's just click on that. And then you see the configuration. Okay, we have some general data, don't have to go through it. And you can see in our configuration which email we go to, the authentication, port used, which the extensions we support, if you want to start for each attachment one or several processes. Again, this is very easy, a tool which comes with CPS, you just can use. And by the way, as I said, it's a CPS application. It's not like that you only, how should I say, take it as it is and have to live with it. You can use it modified even with email launch in the way you need it and maybe adjust it to your needs. And as at this point, maybe, Navid, I would like to ask you in the back also to send a few emails to this launch Genie email address. So, and while I'm doing the demonstration, this should come after some time. Very likely, we should see that in the inbox or in the queue arriving up. So let's go just maybe let me go to the process. When what Navid is doing now, he will launch the process, and then it will go to this, let's call it external. That is a Flobot, which is calling an external service, in this case from a company, Genie, which will convert this PDF in structured data. Normally, just taking this as said, this takes probably maybe a minute or two to execute that and brings the data back to us. In our case, what we don't only have it for Genie, we have support several providers, Genie, Rossum, as well as Verify, in order to perform the job. And every one of them has some strengths and some weaknesses. Genie, for example, is very optimized for the German market, and the others are very flexible and very good in the US and English-speaking market. And one thing when we talk about that, and also do that, which we also talk a little bit later, is when we get this data, it's not just that we get this data and calling an API, we also will take this data and use them in a very convenient way in our forms, which we have a closer look a little bit later. And so this means that our Flowbot is not just calling them, it's also working seamlessly together with our applications as well as the controls in our form. Questions we normally get at this point is something like when people ask, how much does it cost in order to call such a service? Because this service is unfortunately not free of charge, and the servers charge some money for this transaction. And it's difficult to tell you which is the exact cost because every vendor has maybe a different price model. Some of them charge per page, some of them charge per invoice, some have maybe a small initial fee. But I would say maybe as a guess, if you want to make a rough estimation, I would say I would calculate with maybe 25 cents per invoice for your planning purpose. It can be a little bit less, it can be a bit higher, depending on the special need you have. Another question which also arises quite often in that context is, what is the quality of this invoice recognition? And to be honest, when we started the whole thing maybe 3 years ago, we have been very, very, very impressed. Because the quality of maybe recognizing fields without previous training is really amazing. So to some, I would say we can have, if you don't have a very strange invoice, but I think normally with the standard invoice, you achieve recognition rates per field in the range of higher than 90% or even higher. And this means, that these things, tools are recognizing these fields very, very, very accurate. And taking account that you maybe need 3-4 fields to recognize. So, and all that results in something like an assumption that you have a good chance to have an invoice we recognize maybe the 3-4 things which are relevant, about 2/3 of the invoices, and have them executed automatically. So this is especially very important when you know that today, when you go maybe through some examinations or research, it depends which one you're using, but normally they say it costs about between $12 and $30 to execute one invoice manually. So 25 cents, and you can do 2/3 automatically. And maybe the others also save a lot of time. I think you save a lot of money by applying such a process. And by the way, when you want to do that, and you know it, and you say, I don't know which tool should I use, what is the right approach for me, I think we are here to help. We have good experience in that regard, and we can help you to select the right provider. We can help you to use our Flowbot to have it integrated, because also we already have done it for free, and train you to really to make this process as efficient as possible when you have, okay? Only one thing I want to also mention here, because I maybe don't have time to mention it later. I told you at the end, you know, we save the things in the document management system. I want to very quickly mention here that we also do have the capability to merge metadata of our process with, let's say, a Word template. And what we are doing here in our example, we are always creating a cover letter. Maybe from a technical point, it's not necessary, but accounting people like it a lot if you have maybe also relevant data of this process, who approved it and when, and different comments summarized in a nice UI, and have this also stored as a PDF in your file system. Because this is like today a cover of something, the whole thing people can use right away and use that. But this is again, let's say, this is about this different things we can use in that happens at the end. Let me go a little bit further in my process. Let's go a little bit come to the beginning, and you see that we have here decision flowbot. This decision flowbot we can see here, and we see here. Here we use the decision flowbot more or less to decide if what we have done here should be automatically processed without human involvement, or it should go into a human involvement. And here we use it in order to decide if maybe the amount is very high, also to bring it to management. So how to train this flowbot, how to manage that. Also here we have existing CBS application, in this case rules. Again, role-based, only the people who are allowed to see that. And they can go maybe to this invoice auto approval. They select it. And here they have the choice to select between manual approval and auto approval, and they just add the different rules when it should be done automatically and when it should be automatic. So this, and it can be modified by the person very easily. And the same thing, not only for that, it's also maybe we have it for management approval. Here we use other criteria. We use more or less the criteria amount, and we just say, if it's more than 1,000, it has to go to management. If it's less than 1,000, it does not go to management. So this is something, if you think it's not 1,000, it's something you don't need development. A business user can go to this application and just change the rules in the way he wants it. And we also store also changes in an audit file, so that also later you can see that all the things that has been changed and who did it, all this change. Coming now from the supporting solutions, maybe again a little bit to our process, and let's go to the inbox. And by the way, here you see 3, and maybe people who have been seen before, you have seen maybe where this was empty. This very likely as the 3 invoices that we just have sent to this email launch, and the system has processed that while I was talking. But now again, let me open an existing one in the inbox. Let's say this, we are in the verify step, open that, and see what the CBS looks like. First, what you see is it comes with our 6 standard tabs, you know, requester, service, documents, actions, something very similar to what you know. So, and this is just standard. You have all things like collapse, expand, all this, the features you have is coming with this one. You also have things like when you say, oh, I need maybe to go, sorry, wrong one. If I need to leave, you can save the draft and maybe continue a little bit later. All these things are standard functions that is coming automatically, even without AP processing. It's just part of every solution. In our case, I talked before, we are at the first step now in the human side where somebody has to verify if the system has really identified the right data. So what you see here, the left side, you see the image which was sent to us. And here at the right side, we have a control which just showing the different things which have been recognized. So maybe let me just click on the net amount. And you see the system immediately brings you to the point of the invoice where it found the net amount. And you can see it's correct. Okay, let's just check it. You see also the sender city. Okay, Oberegling, correct. You see the payment recipient or the bitmap, correct. So you can see more or less, you're very well supported just to see what has been recognized, and also the system automatically makes a link to the image control where it has found the data. And if you think it's maybe not correct, you also can always correct it and go with them. So it's so very simple. So for you to verify that. So, and even it's not about just that you can maybe recognize static data of the invoice. Even you can go maybe to invoice items. You can maybe even you can see the different line items, or even in the details of the line items. Details of the line item, you can go where and you can see that. So it's a very powerful tool which aligns, really shows you, brings together this unstructured data of an invoice together with the structured data recovered or maybe estimated by this artificial intelligence tool. Last but not least, also coming back to what we still have on this form, which is useful for you, which is sometimes very useful, is this action tab. An action tab is something which we have built-in rules, which are more or less telling you which is missing in order to send the form. Because you see here the send is disabled, you just cannot send, and here you can see the different reason why you cannot send. So yeah, just click on it, and the system brings you exactly to the point what is missing. In our case, organization. Okay, I forgot to tell you that we have here a solution which is handling incoming invoice for different legal entities. So somebody has just forgotten to select the legal entity this one is going for. So again, now let's go back to actions. This is disappeared. Still, you have to do a few other things, but I think you see the concept. It's very powerful in order to combine these capabilities, what has been discovered, corrected, and also make sure that everything is correct before you can send it to the next step. Okay. Also, if you change things, it will go automatically to the history, so that you also will be able to see later that things have been changed. Good. We talked about, when we talk about these different things, that we have other supporting applications which are also necessary in order to run that. And one of them is, let's call it due date. Sorry, before I go to due date, let me have a look into approval structure. And this approval structure is nothing else which allows you also to make the settings you need in order to manage your solution. Remember, we said that we have different cost centers. Remember, that's going back to the process. And in the different cost centers, you have people, somebody has to verify something has to approve something. So who should do that? Quite simple. You use this application and you say in the Miller subsidiary, who is responsible for cost center sales? And who is in the queue for checking and who is the approver? You just define that. And then the system will act accordingly. And also this approval structure is a CPS application, okay? Maybe done for this example, but very easy to modify, to change, and to adjust it to your needs. Good. Beside that, we have things like report dashboards. Because when we have everything, incoming invoice, we knew from the first second about the amount and the due date. So you can really have reports. You can have other reports. It's just an example, maybe one report for a specific date, and you see a little bit around this date. With this due date, how many invoices are due on this day, how many of them are verified, rejected, approved. And this is quite powerful. You can just say, maybe I don't want to see a verified and approved, and I don't want to see the rejected. So makes it very simple to see what you need. You can see amount, you can see number, or you say, okay, or maybe I don't want to see it on a daily basis. I would like to see it on a weekly basis. So it's a little bit very flexible, very powerful to see what you want to do. Also, another important thing which I think I like a lot is this report. And the report is nothing else than giving you all invoices which are in the system, not only associated to you, to everything, and you can just go somewhere and see where it is. And you can see here, okay, it's a finance step. So, but now we have the situation that this is a very important thing. And we want to get some kind of an maybe discount of 10%, but we have to pay today. And we know that the people in the cost center are on vacation. So we can have something like an emergency button. In this case, you click on an emergency button. And remember, again, look where it is. At the moment, you see it's a final step. So let me press the emergency button. So the emergency button does the following. Let's have a look. It stops the finance and immediately brings it to the management. So they can approve and we can execute it today and get the discount today. And it does not depend where the things stand. It can be at the finance here. But again, it's just a possibility that you can interact, you can bring in interactive actions in reports and not just jump around. You just can press on a button and things happens what you want and escalate them. So this is a little bit a thing I wanted to show you what we have in this demo as of today. And it's a little bit, as I want to show that you use powerful artificial intelligence to extract data, but also strong process capability with assets all together makes things very smooth for you. And as said, this is an application which is working, but on the other hand, you can take every single component, use it, and maybe build things around in the way you need it. But also, we would like also to give you maybe some other thoughts when it comes to, let's say, to incoming invoices. And this is about, maybe talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Let me go back to my PowerPoint in a very simplified way. When you talk about artificial intelligence or machine learning in a very simplified way, maybe you need to differentiate between systems or methods. You just use out of the box and they really produce fantastic results. Or some of them require training with your data in order to get results. In our case, invoice recognition is an example. You get really good results out of the box without previous training. If you don't have crazy invoices, believe me, this works perfectly. Other areas are sentiment analysis, image recognition. There's a lot of things which is available, which you just can use. And we have also Flobots so that we just can use and utilize and leverage in our processes. Other things, maybe think about, you want to do self-registration in the context of having a vendor portal. Let's say you have maybe, 5,000 vendors. And you don't want them maybe coming to you and you have administrator to manage and update all their data in the vendor portal. So that's the reason maybe you think about self-registration. We have the tools for that, the APIs, but also what we have is AI you can use. Maybe you want to analyze ID documents and to see if the person who is registering is the person also providing the passport in an embedded way. And I asked Navid also to show you a little bit in that area how this might look like. Another thing is when it comes also to optimization, remember in our finance step, we also maybe have to allocate it to cost centers. If it's not maybe done already in the purchase order, you maybe need to know which cost center it is. So what you can do is actually you can more or less use other machine learning, take the historical data you have and run a model in order to calculate possible future transactions. So the system comes up with proposals how to should execute that. Having said that, if you do that, you need to use this learning for training and everything in order to go that. And I would like also ask Navid, maybe just to take over for a second or 2 minutes and just show a little bit some tools which goes into this direction where you can use AI for analyzing ID documents and also maybe do something like prediction. Okay.
Thank you very much, Carl. Hello, everyone. My name is Navid Ahmed, and I will be showing you 2 examples of artificial intelligence and machine learning working together with Ultimus CPS. Let me share my screen. Okay, so one of the example is called customer prediction. So think about the scenario. If you have one email account or some portal where you are getting a lot of queries from different areas, like some queries can belong to sales, some queries can belong to IT, and some can be related to some admin. And initially, whatever you are getting, so someone will have to do this sorting. There, someone will have to open these emails or these queries, understand and route to the right department. So this customer prediction solution is basically about this situation, that when you have a lot of queries from different departments, so artificial intelligence based models, they can read your message and they can automatically predict and tell, okay, to which department this communication or email or message belongs, and they can do the routing to the right department. For example, I'll show you one example. So if you see this process map here, so this process is also launched through email, like in our example, but it can be some different scenario as well. And then after passing some flow, automated steps, we have this machine learning prediction model designed and built by Ultimus. So this prediction is being done by this model, and then automatically routing happening. For example, if the email is related to sales, then it is going to sales department, or it can go to the support department, or it can go to admin department. So here in this case, I send this email, and if you read this email, you can see that it looks like a sales email. So that's why it was routed to the sales department. But we also have this option that whenever someone receives this email or this message, the routing happens. So it is possible that sometime the prediction was not correct because of some training data. And maybe instead of sales, it is routed to some wrong department. So that's why we have given this human verification step, where someone can come and see and can say, yes, I accept because this query belongs to my department, or this user can say, say no, this should go to the sales department or some other department. And then the routing can be corrected by sending the case. Then we also have some applications and reports where we can have this overview about the prediction results. So it can tell you that between specific period, the percentage of prediction, how much was the correct and how much was the wrong prediction. And the wrong prediction is the one actually which helps us to improve our machine learning models. So once we collect a lot of wrong prediction data, so we give it back to the model and we retrain the model, and then next time such data will be predicted in a correct way. So this is one example. Second example I will show about the ID card. For example, if you are doing this self-registration or in any other scenario where you have to identify the customer with the ID. So this ID can be passport, ID card, driving license, or any official ID. So the machine learning models, what they can do, they can read the data from the ID card, and then they can verify if this ID is a valid ID, not valid ID. They can relate the data with your database, with your backend system, and then they can tell if this ID is, if the person is the right person or not. So for example, I uploaded this one passport, and it is processing through the model. So in a couple of seconds, it should come back and show the results. So if you see here, so I uploaded this passport, and then I got all the data extracted from this passport. And also we can get the picture of the person. And then based on this data, we can take many different business decisions. Yeah. So that's all from my side. And
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Naveed. Okay, just again, as I said, it's maybe also an outlook about how other AI machine learning capabilities can be used in order to optimize things. And at this point, I would just want to mention again that, you know, this invoice processing, like other DPA starters we have are free for Ultimus CPS customers. So we are adding permanently new things to the list. And I think if you want, and to some extent, I just invite you to contact us and talk with us how we can make this available for you, so you can get really the value of this artificial intelligence together with our CPS fragments in order to really to save money and provide value for your company. So from my point of view, thanks a lot for participating. But also would like to check too with Sam, if we got some questions, maybe we should answer or not.
Yes, we got some questions. One important question is about how are you handling the capture part of the invoice processing? Are you partnering with a capture vendor? Do you have your own capture tool? I already chatted that we are using partners. You already explained it, but maybe you can repeat.
No, I think you said it. I think, as I told you, Fizz, there are partners in the world which have maybe run a model with millions of invoices. That's the reason they are really good, and you can use them out of the box. So what we are doing in this regard, we are using best of breed partners in this world of capturing. Okay, and yes, so we don't have it. We partner with them. Yes.
Yeah, and as Karl already explained, we are partnering with the German company Genie, with I think Czech customer Rossum, and the US partner Verify, and all these are very good partners, and they have strong capabilities in their areas.
Sam, I just want to add something here. Like I showed one example in the last about passport. So this is also one of the example where we are capturing some data. But in this example, this is based on our models created by Ultimus.
Yeah, you're right, David. Sorry to say, but I mentioned my answer was related to incoming invoice. But if you want to analyze other pictures, sure, we can run our own models. And you can actually use, we have a very strong team in the area of machine learning. So if you have a specific model, we are here to help you to bring that unstructured information into structured information, if it's not invoice, okay?
Okay, good. So for the moment, all major questions are answered. Karl, thanks a lot. So I would like to close this webinar for today.
Okay.
Thanks for participating and have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.